Hello and welcome to Journeys and Journals. I'm Bernie Martin Beck and I get to travel and meet the most interesting people. Today's guests are three like in triplets, and I'm anxious to share. This is...
I'm Robin Martin.
Evelyn, Lasher.
Mary Potter.
But they're all the Wampler girls, and that's what's so fascinating. Three of a kind. And look at them. Don't they just look like triplets? Well, the story is about triplets, but let's talk to Mom about what it was like to be mother to three babies. Well, it wasn't just three, was it?
No,
It was four babies at once.
I had a 2-year-old when the triplets were born.
That was me.
And then the triplets? That was you.
Yes, I was firstborn.
And Evelyn, you do look like one of the triplets to
gee,
me
thank you.
because there wasn't a whole lot of age difference, was there?
20 years.
So you're 20 years old, and at 24 you have 4 children?
Yes.
What a surprise. Or were you...
Oh, I wanted multiple births.
You did?
Sure.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I thought the Dione quintuplets were just something else.
And we'd followed them in pictures from
yes.
year to year?
Had pictures of them up in the bedroom, and I thought that was wonderful.
Well, now, somebody told me that you don't have a picture when you were pregnant.
No, in those days that wasn't anything that you showed off. You tried to hide it.
Could you kind of show me with your hand how pregnant a mom is with 3 babies?
Well, they used to describe me as one of these little toys that had a big bottom and a little head, and you know, you'd knock it over and it'd roll back up.
You really looked like a
Yes.
little toy. She's not very tall. What, 5'4" or
5'4",
3?
5.
And so let's look at the triplets. Okay, you show me. Is this Mary or is this Nancy?
That's me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But what's the name that your family gave you?
Mary Nancy?
Or-
No, Mary Nancy. Well, yes, Mary Nancy. Wampler triplets or Mary Nancy is what we were called many times.
Okay,
Yeah.
why
So-
Mary Nancy?
Because the two of us being, Nancy and I were identical, so they called us Mary Nancy. No one could figure out which one was which many times. So that was,
Even in your adulthood?
very much so in our adulthood.
Well, why don't you
It
tell
just,
us?
sometimes in fact going shopping would be a kick because we would be shopping and all of a sudden you look around and you realize people are looking at you, and we would realize, because people aren't used to seeing twin adults, and they would be looking at us like, oh my, there's 2 of them over there. And so it was quite interesting. So, but we've had a lot of different experiences from the 2 of us.
Well, let's move from tiny babies. Here you are in the newspaper. Where was this?
This was in Visalia, California, which is south of Fresno.
Right. And Robin, you were born there too?
No, I was born in a little town outside of Sonoma called Weinberg, California, and I was 2 years old when they were born.
What do you remember about the triplets?
I think I remember the day they came home, running out the sidewalk to greet them at the car, and jumping up and down. And I remember the house. It was on Garden. Oh,
Church.
anyway,
It was
Church Street.
We lived on Garden.
In Visalia, and I was just always so proud of them.
She was.
Yeah, I was. I was really proud of them. In fact, people would, worry that maybe I wasn't getting enough attention, but I would just, because all the attention was on them, but I just stood back with my chest out, and these were my sisters. I was just happy.
When you say all the attention, you're talking about Gerber baby? What was that about?
Gerber, when I found out I was going to have triplets, the representative from the Gerber company came and talked to me, and he had already been to my doctor and had the okay that they would furnish the baby food for the babies.
So we know how you started out, huh?
Yep.
Gerber's
And the pet milk company did the same thing.
They
They furnished milk for them for many years, even after they were, well, they were probably like 5. I think it's probably 5.
Still
Getting
Really?
pet milk.
Long time.
Isn't that
You know,
something?
things weren't easy at that time.
No.
I mean, my dad had his own business, or was he?
Yeah.
He had his own
He did
business,
start
a
it.
radio repair shop, and so they appreciated all this help.
Well, I heard a fun story about someone that you didn't even know coming.
A lady that lived near us came over one morning, and she said that she didn't want to interfere, but if she could come and see the babies, she'd really like it. And so we had fixed up a glassed-in porch for a room for the triplets, and so we had a window that looked out on this porch. So she stood at the window. She didn't want to come in and touch them. She didn't want to do anything like that. But she watched us bathe them that morning. And when she got through, she went in the kitchen, and she said, "Would you mind if I'd sit down?" And she sat down at the table. I hadn't even cleared the breakfast dishes away because the baby's bath came first.
Right.
And sat down and wrote us a check for $100.
Oh,
And in those days, that was really great.
That would have been more than
So
1,000 today,
yeah.
wouldn't it?
Wow.
yeah, Mary, let's find out how many
That's-
years ago that was. Right?
Wow. We will be celebrating our 60th birthday in December.
Oh,
So-
happy birthday.
Yeah.
Then what happens? The newspaper follows you?
Yes, the Visalia paper, of course, had the article when they were born, and they thought they were the first ones there, first ones that they had record of. And
You might tell them how much they weighed.
they weighed 4 pounds, and 4 pounds 2 ounces, and 5 pounds.
No preemies here.
No,
And for a tiny lady to carry 12 pounds of baby plus,
yeah.
She didn't have a cesarean section in those days. They didn't do that.
oh my goodness.
So it was all natural.
What a story.
What I think is one of the cutest things that you need to add to this story is the time that they did the x-ray. They first x-rayed
Yes,
her.
true. Yeah.
And go ahead and tell them, Mom, what happened in the doctor's office.
We were going to have a boy.
Oh, sure, you had your daughter.
So I got so big that everybody said, "Well, you're going to have a big boy." So finally, I kept feeling movement all over. So the doctor said, "Well, we'd take x-rays."
At what point, how far along were you
I
at this
think
point?
this was in October. I was about 7 months.
Wow.
That far along.
And,
Whoa.
Oh,
and the technician was right near where I was waiting for the doctor to come back after he took the x-rays. And I could hear him say, "Well, there's a head, and there's a head, and there's a head."
There's a leg, there's a leg, there's a leg.
and we count up legs and we
And they came back in and
And the
said,
doctor says, "Well, we know you're going to have 3, but could be more."
Oh, that's incredible. That's incredible.
that
Here
was
they are. This is the big sister.
there I
That's
am.
Robin.
We were all in our pajamas
Yep.
with our little Bo Peep wallpaper. Yes, I remember that.
All 4 were raised in a 2-bedroom house. We were all in 1 bedroom.
Yep, we all
and
shared
we
a bedroom.
all shared 1 bedroom, and we
All-
loved every minute of it.
All through high school.
Yeah.
I mean, we
And you
did.
loved
They-
every minute
Well,
of it.
there's times when we
never-
wanted our part, but we never,
We never
thought
thought
about
that
it.
much about it. I mean, that was not impossible. You couldn't have a house with 5
Why,
bedrooms.
of course you couldn't.
No.
2-bedroom
one
house
bath?
was fine. 1
Oh,
bath.
no, we had 2 baths.
Yeah, we
Well,
did have 2. Well, for a while we had
not
one.
for, not for quite a while though, was
Yeah, well, we fixed
can't
it up.
remember.
if
Yeah.
had to. Yeah.
Well, you know, we've got you, mother of 4 here, and a busy, busy woman, but every time I hear from any of these girls, they're always bragging about what you did for them. You raised mountain savvy, outdoors women who knew how to do anything and everything.
Oh, that's this lady. She could do anything. Roof a house, build a chimney,
Whatever it takes.
fireplace. I mean, she does it.
I just enjoy doing things.
Yeah.
She
And the
also,
camping and the hiking.
We did everything.
I once heard the story, someone wanted very much to show you the world. Locally, you know, like Oregon, California, Nevada, Washington. And they started going down the list of places they'd like to take you. Yeah, I've been there. Yeah, I've done that. Yep, we did. We went to those, that desert and those mountains.
yes.
How'd you do it all?
Well, my husband was, and their father was just a great person that loved to see the country, and we'd take trips. Every year we'd go to national parks or
We
some
took a
special place.
two-week vacation,
every summer.
And his
and it was
name?
camping. We always camped.
Your
everywhere we
husband's
went.
was
name
Walter Wampler.
Walter Wampler, they moved, all of you, all 6 of you moved to Southern Oregon. Why? How? When?
Well, the girls were, the triplets were going to graduate, this was September 1961, and they were going to graduate from high school that next year. And Robin had graduated already and was going to a community college, and I believe you were working.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was working in your stereo
Oh, yeah.
television shop and going to community college.
And
College
it
of
was time for us to take our annual 2-week vacation. But none of them wanted to go with us. They were either
Typical
working
teenagers.
or had boyfriends or something. And so my husband and I just took off, and I had an aunt and uncle who had just moved to Grants Pass. In fact, they bought the property that is just north of Wildlife Images on the river.
Upriver.
And we came up and we went swimming in the river, and we picked blackberries we thought were so wonderful.
Oh, they are.
And we just fell in love with the place.
And you took a jet boat trip, didn't
And
you?
we took a jet boat trip with Grant Garcia. He was running
that time?
a trip up and down to out to Hell's
Kind
Gate.
of a little jet boat.
A small one. We were discussing it. I don't know whether it held more than 2 people. I mean, 2 passengers. But we went down on this trip, and on the way, we just loved the river, every bit of it. And we saw this property, and it was for the for sale sign on it. No, I take that back. It didn't have a for sale sign. We went down and talked to real estate people about it, if there was anything for sale. And they took us out on Pickett Creek, where
Way out Pickett Creek.
the
Unless-
OK Corral is
Today.
today.
But what did you find there?
That's what we found, an old barn
An old barn.
and a small 1-bedroom house.
With a big closet.
Yes.
Oh, that's right, because that was your
my
bedroom.
for a while.
I forgot about that.
So we put a down payment on it, went
Just like
back and
that.
told the girls we were going to move to Oregon.
And don't you think that was a shock?
Tough girl. She didn't want to go on vacation. We've got a new home.
That's right. It was exciting. It was like adventure.
So excited
you
to think we
know.
could move to the mountains. For me, I was so excited about that, to move to
Yeah.
Oregon.
Yeah.
Because you've
To
been
move
in
in
the
the mountains.
city, right?
Well, Visalia is pretty flat country. It's
It
you
is.
know,
We're
and
not
it's-
too far from Sequoia Park, but you know,
pretty
people.
flat
Or
country.
from Fresno.
Yeah.
But to us, you know, we all took our life taking vacations was in the mountains, and to think we were going to live in the mountains by a river.
was very
That was
exciting.
Exciting.
Very exciting.
They took us up for Thanksgiving. Wasn't that the first time we went to see it? They
Oh
took us up for
my.
It
Thanksgiving.
rained every minute we were here.
Every minute it poured.
and we
It
loved every
poured.
minute of it. I remember that just clearly.
And you'd put the money down on the place, so you could say, this is
Oh,
where
yeah.
we're, I mean, as I understand it, you said, girls, we're going to remodel this.
Well, not at that time. We were going to remodel the house. It was just
Oh.
a 1-bedroom.
Which is now the kitchen of OK Corral.
Yeah.
The kitchen and bathrooms they use now for the people going on the jet boat trip, that was our home.
That-
And
Without all the decks.
But
Yeah, we just had a little deck.
But the triplets were going to go to college. They were going to, we enrolled them in
That's true.
Ashland. So they weren't going to be
SOC.
home except weekends. And so we were
Robin
going to
had
add
her
on.
closet, so we
Robin had
wouldn't-
her closet, had her little bed in there.
Well, now,
great.
And
did you
then-
sleep outdoors sometimes? I mean, were you crazy about this
Well,
Rogue
we had,
River?
there was another little building that we had, and we fixed it up into a little apartment. And then we
So
kept
we slept
thinking
in
about
that
it.
sometime.
Yeah. And this old barn, we started looking at it, and inside it was so interesting. It had old bales of moldy hay and
Oh, I wished I could
manure.
Great big
and-
beams
the
and
door.
big
Yeah,
round log.
it's a pole barn. You
Yeah.
can't tell by that, but it had
Pole
these big
barn.
poles.
I saw pictures in here of
Yeah.
the poles.
It's what they call a pole barn, and it had many of these round poles that had been, the bark had been stripped from them. And
It turned
we
out
talked it over and decided that we could build that into a house.
Girls, when she says we, what do you envision in your mind?
hard work, but that was them. That
But
was my
I
mom.
envisioned that was Mother and Dad. I mean, we
They
were,
loved
you know,
it.
I don't think we hardly lifted a finger. I think that's just terrible.
Well,
but
we
I
weren't.
don't remember.
Well, you lived there. I didn't. I was in college. So you're the guilty one.
No. The absolute splendor of this place, folks, was like something out of Sunset Magazine.
It
And I'm
was. It was
sorry it was
gorgeous.
never in the magazine
Because it was just beautiful.
this pole barn became a gracious, I mean,
What is it, 4-bedroom? 4-bedroom and a den.
4-bedroom. It was
4-bedroom and a
beautiful.
den. Yeah.
Office downstairs.
Yeah,
I mean, they did it all. Didn't you do all the work, pretty much?
pretty much everything.
They did everything.
And- yeah.
It was something else. They loved every minute of it.
Yep.
well, we've got pictures of it. Pictures of flood time and pictures of snow time.
Yes, oh yes.
What was it like to be way downriver? I mean, you were isolated when the snow came, weren't you?
1963 or 4, maybe 3 or 4.
64.
We had 3 feet of snow out there,
3 feet.
so we were snowed in.
Yep, I remember those days. I wasn't there.
Yeah,
Uh,
just before the '64 flood too.
oh,
maybe that was 63.
because that melt was what
That was-
created
yeah,
part of
part
the,
of it, yeah.
the sudden change. Well, now the Rogue River, which was really your front yard,
Mm-hmm.
right, starts over at Crater Lake, as I
Mhm.
understand it, Klamath, and it ends up. What's the
At the
county
ocean.
down
Curry?
Smith River,
Curry does.
in
Smith River.
But I don't know the
Gold
county.
Beach at. Yeah,
Oh.
so it really covers
Yeah, Gold
much
Beach.
of our Better Life television viewing audience. Our Rogue River waters it, fertilizes it, whatever,
It's a vacation land.
Yeah.
and feeds the bears.
Yeah.
Did you ever see wildlife out there?
I did. Out there at we had all kinds of small critters, lots of deer, and we had a goat that lived on the other side of the river that kept coming down. We called him Mr. G. He'd come down to the river to
Yeah, I
see
remember
us.
that. He
Yeah.
was like a mountain goat.
He was.
Because the
He
other
was
side of the
just
river was just
He
a
was just wild.
cliff.
He was a
Yeah.
tame one that had been left there, so he
Well,
was wild.
When Robin married my brother, I got to meet some of your neighbors, and you had some colorful,
Yes, we
colorful
did.
people.
Wonderful.
Mr.
Dr. and
Doc-
Mrs. Donier. He was a dentist here in town.
Oh, if only I could have Mr. Dr.
Denier.
Denier on
yeah.
this show. He'd
With his
tell-
steam engines. He
Yeah.
collected steam engines.
Something
Um,
else.
He was a vintage fella,
He was.
and he looked like
Loved
the
it.
mountain. You shopped where?
In Grants Pass.
But if you ran out of canned milk, there was a little
There
store
was a little store, yeah.
Was there?
out on.
Remember in Merlin?
No, well-
Robinson Bridge Road.
Road.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's now, I don't know what it is.
Right
now,
at
but-
the corner, the Y.
Yeah.
right
So a
at the
half
Y.
a mile up from the river, or a quarter of a mile. I want to know more about what kind of You've already said that Hammer and Saw Mom did a whole bunch.
On the barn.
Oh, yeah.
But didn't you have another job too? Weren't you working in town?
Not at that time. We just did that. And then when we had that finished, why then Walt went to work at McCullum Lumber, where the new Morrison Park is.
That's right.
That's right.
And how did Selco come into the family picture? Because you're famous
Well,
for that.
I went to work there to manage the store, and we bought it. Then we bought the store, and Walt came and joined me, and
And then you
That was
sold
great.
the store.
we sold the store, yes.
To-
Sold it to our daughter, to her
To us,
husband.
yes.
So once again, from triplet
Pass it
to
on.
triplet, it was
Yeah.
sort of, you'd be sure that you knew them.
Pass it on. Yeah.
One thing I'd like to mention, if I could, about the barn today, it's no longer there. It's been demolished this summer, and the owner
Ken.
of the,
Yeah, the
Ken,
jet boat.
is going to be, he's building, in fact,
Bob
it might be
Hamlin.
completed.
Robert Hamlin.
Robert Hamlin's building a big lodge there that will now be the dining room and kitchen for the
jet boat.
for the jet
jet
boat,
boat.
the OK Corral.
So your little kitchen won't have to serve all those people.
I don't know what they'll do with that.
It's
It's a beautiful area.
I have pictures here that just thrill me. Now, I'm not gonna, which one's Mary Nancy or which one's Nancy Mary? Or do we know?
And I'd have to look at it closer. Yeah, we would know.
Okay, this is the place
I don't
you,
remember.
you tell about the children. Your children or your sister's children might come in and find the two of you.
Our children would get us, Nancy and I, confused many times by which one was mom, so we went through that quite often. One time especially, my my son came in, and Nancy and I were standing in a bathroom, and I don't know which one's my mommy, and he was so upset, and it was just so precious. But Nancy and I, we went through a lot of times as a twin. Donna was fraternal, and we were identical, and a lot of things happened in our lifetime that you do go through as twins. There you just know each other. You know what the other one's going to say. You just experience different things, and it was quite interesting at times. One time she was living in Germany. We were living here. I sent material to her for a dress I was making. She sent material to me of a dress she was making, and they were both identical. And it was just something else. And you think, my goodness, all this fabric that's out, and we both identical picked the same thing. And just different times that we,
Identical twins.
yeah, just different times that things like that would happen. So it was quite interesting.
And then one time I remember when you were younger and you were in college, you both had dates, and you decided to switch and not tell them.
Well, we never cared for the fact. A lot of time, guys, if one of us was busy, they'd call the other one. And so we get a little irritated with that because, you know, hey, which one do you really want to date? So we would decide to switch.
You really did that.
Yeah, we really did. Yeah, so.
Now you're
it was-
laughing.
Yeah,
You
well,
had-
because it was just fun. You know, it was fun. It was just in the fun of it. So.
You had so much fun doing this
Yeah.
that when you got married, what's that story about?
Nancy's husband actually was very, we were getting married, they had just gotten married, and I was down by the car, and he came over to talk to me, and he thought I was Nancy. And it was so funny because he was so embarrassed, and here he had just married her. And he thought there was a switch in this. But then when I got married, my husband just knew when I went walking down the aisle that Nancy and I had switched, and he really got cold feet because he thought Nancy and I had switched. And you know, we wouldn't do that, but he felt that way. So
Knowing
it was
your
yeah,
past.
yeah.
Evelyn, what's it been like?
Oh, it was a wonderful life, raising all four of them. I couldn't ask for anything to be better.
We've had a lot
And
of fun.
we
Yes.
do this.
Yes.
Where does Donna Faye? That's what I've always heard her live. She lives where?
She lives in Eugene,
And
lives in Eugene.
we know that
and my sister Nancy, Mary's twin, she passed away in December. She had Parkinson's disease and passed
she
away.
was a brave girl.
She was.
Yes, she was.
We lost.
Fought it bravely.
How many, I'd hoped kind of we had the grandchildren picture here to show off. Maybe I'll
gotta
go
do
with
Which
one
is
of
a fun
those.
one, yeah.
And so
We
what
didn't bring 'em.
happened with that picture?
The picture of all 9 of them.
Uh-huh,
I
9?
should have brought it, but I didn't.
Well, maybe I can cut it in, but
Oh,
tell me
okay.
the story.
Well, we all got together many times. Our whole family does that a lot, just for weekends or whenever it's possible. And my husband just called them all in from play, and whatever clothes they had on or anything,
Didn't matter.
lined them up on the sofa and took a picture, which turned out to be just wonderful.
Yeah,
Now-
it's a
They
treasure.
become a precious.
Now, I understand some of the moms didn't quite like what Dad had in mind, and they said, "Oh, let me comb the hair."
Yeah, no.
No.
Let me-
No.
That happened often because he didn't want us to take the time. And of course, we wanted to make them all pretty. Nope, he just wanted a picture as they were. But that's what's become precious about that picture.
Well, I have
Is
cut
because
it
of their
in here so
natural.
that everybody gets to appreciate.
Yeah, it's great.
The kids are fantastic. I tell you, I've been sort of a shirt-tail relative of all this family and have had the privilege of growing to love each one of them. And my hat's off to all of you. And the children will get copies.
They will love it.
You think so?
Oh, I know it.
Sure they will.
Sure. Evelyn.
Evelyn, you're my hero.
Well, goodness, thank you. I'm not a hero.
You've lived
I
on the
just-
river for many, many years. Different locations after you
Yes,
sold that one.
yes.
You love the river?
I love the river. I've floated it many times and hiked it.
Fished
and
it.
Fished it.
When you say
different-
hiked it,
We hiked from
Graves Creek.
Graves Creek down to
Mariel?
Mariel.
Well, on down.
3 nights. So down from the old there.
Yeah.
Camped out 3 nights, took our backpack, and we had a ball.
oh, I'd love
Yeah,
to go
a lot of
along.
And
fun
her
times.
mother was along on the trip.
My mother, yes.
Mm-hmm.
We called her Nana.
She
was
lived to
even
a
along.
ripe old age?
Yeah, she went along with us, yeah. We enjoyed every minute.
was a fun-
We love Oregon, we really do. Glad we moved here.
You are glad, and we're so glad. Thank you, Robin, for joining our family. It was
Yeah.
our lucky day. We are so grateful to have these people in our lives, and I'll bet you are having some memories of Selco or Rock Club or all those
Yes.
other things they've been involved. I'm Bernie Martin Beck saying thanks so much for tuning in to Journeys and Journals. Quite a trip.